Okay, 7:02, Town of Granby Conservation Commission, May 8th, 2018. 7 o'clock, Building and Board of Health permits. Amanda, what do we have first?
First was, what is your first name? I know who you were.
I'm Gabriel.
Nope, not you.
Martin.
Martin, okay. Sorry, I couldn't quite tell.
What's the address?
My right. 22 Green Meadow Lane.
We have that on the GIS. Well, the sun's hitting it just right now.
Is it even, oh, what is that?
I ate that vegetable. Ooh.
22 Green Meadow. What's the project?
Add a 10-foot addition to the left side of the existing one.
It's on the right side, so I don't think there's any wetlands on that side. It's completely dry.
No.
There's nothing in between that
Nope.
runs down the middle there, or anything?
Mm-mm. Check.
I don't know the area personally, so.
Deer, was it Deerbrook is next to it? So, yeah, it's all, that's all dry.
Yeah.
The wet is
The wet's
way
all the
over
way,
there.
way over there.
It's-
Make a motion to approve a building permit for a 10-foot addition located on the north side of the building.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Doesn't matter, we can all sign. We'll initial it. You have it set up, all filled out?
What did you say?
Hmm?
You seconded it?
Yes, I did. Sure. You said it was a 10-foot addition?
10-foot addition located on the north side
Plus
of the
the
building.
beginning.
Might be the north side, right?
Circle is the
On the left?
Left, yeah, that's north, yeah.
Here you go, guys.
Starts out as Jennifer, right?
Any next building permit, please? Let's see.
And how do you spell your last name? Sorry.
It's L-A-B-E-R-T-E.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Pool permit, we're trying to get a 18-foot pool inside of here.
Sure. Where's the property? What's the address?
It's 51 West Street.
1 West Street.
What street is it?
51 West.
51.
Okay. So there's a little bit of what back there. Where was the
You'll
pool
see
gonna
the-
be located?
Yeah, can I go over the map? Yeah.
Sorry, it's a little.
Yeah, this is it, right?
Yeah.
So, the creek is here on the side of the house?
Yeah.
It's probably like way in here somewhere. I wanna do the pool right here. actually.
Okay, so on
It's about
the far side.
Yeah.
It's on the
Go
grass.
farthest I can get. from-
Existing grass?
Yeah, right now it's just grass.
Yeah.
It's totally flat.
You can see kind of on my picture. It's all grass over there. Yeah.
Sure. So, information.
I move we approve it.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You don't happen to have a Granby permit, do you, that we sign off?
I did print this up because they wanted to, Second Karen's for a while also, she said that, we all set our taxes, because they told, the guy, Greg, I talked to, said that. I started this, but a lot of it didn't, pertain to the pool, thing, it's more of like a structure, I thought, but I filled it up to the best of my ability, and there wasn't a lot pertaining to pools.
You download this from the town?
Yeah, that's the one they told me to the town website.
And you said it was an 18-foot?
Yeah.
18-foot above ground?
Yeah, above ground, yeah.
Okay.
All
There it is
wetland
right here.
boundary lines be established as a conservation.
Yeah, why don't you fill the top up, that's
Okay.
okay, we'll initial it right here.
Perfect, all right. I'll figure out a pencil.
Sure. This to the side.
I think I have an electronic.
Are you here for a building permit?
What's that?
Are you here for a building permit?
I'm here to talk about potentially removing some dead trees
Oh,
that are within
okay.
100 feet of the water line.
Okay.
Amanda, if you
That is
could.
7:15 discussion, I think. Are you Mr. Richardson?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you sign in? I don't think you are.
Amanda, if you could go to the flash drive, please. I think we have some order conditions from a project where we actually did tree cutting. So if you go to the flash drive,
Where in the flash drive?
it should say, actually go to detail, the detail view instead of the icon view.
I don't exactly know how to do that.
Oh, yeah, see where it says
Sometimes.
special conditions with the star?
Yeah.
Yeah, click on that, double click that.
Oh, okay.
And see if, let's take a look. East Street, Trout Lily, drawdown, septics.
Oh, Aldridge Street special conditions?
That might be,
No, it was the
wasn't.
one on Kendall Street
Kendall.
that Jerry Lavoy did. He did some tree cutting. Apparently that's not in there. Remember that one?
That was
Ed?
Vista pruning.
Yeah, that's
That
what I
was
think
under
this
notice.
gentleman's gonna be
That was
involved
under
with.
an NOI though.
Yeah, but I guess, I was just thinking if there are any special conditions, apparently not. We'd have to go back.
It was Trout Lily where we had stuff going on with kind of trees.
Oh, we did? Okay,
Trout
we'll,
Lily.
we'll go on the Trout Lily one, Amanda, look at that one, please.
Was it?
You know, I have.
Yeah, try
Yeah,
to,
it's fine, you can ask the building inspector.
These were the
Four
big
or
ones,
the
I'm not
first
breaking any
one?
walls or, going anything.
Check out the.
Town brings you for this, or do I pay them from
You
there?
can pay the building department.
Okay.
Oh.
There's no fee on our part.
Cut trees shall not be stored no closer than 100 feet from the high angle water line.
okay, so we let them cut trees and we kept the stumps in place.
That's usually the protocol with siltation
Okay.
while we do it.
Alright.
And then I think we try to limit, didn't we try to limit?
Oh, yes, mechanized equipment, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a location that you could bring in any.
Okay, well, when you're, at 7:15, we'll discuss it, but at
That's
least
what
we'll
I'm
have a little background.
Usually that's what we limit, like
Sign no
bobcats,
place. What is his next step?
bucket trucks,
Right,
climb
yeah.
only.
I think a chainsaw is plenty.
The physical check and the build out.
I believe so.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, that's-
thanks a lot.
Good luck.
It said just like,
We have any pictures of that.
tree stumps, same place.
All right, let's go on
No
to,
traffic between the barriers and this area.
We'll hear you in about 5
1
minutes.
inch is 10 feet.
Hey guys, let's go on to administrative duties, commentary. Anybody want to post a commentary?
I'd like to discuss, and we have to do it now, potentially changing our meeting time, at least for the foreseeable future, so we can get home a little earlier at night, maybe start at 6:30. We'll discuss it after if you'd like.
Any other commentary?
Amanda and I went to the select board last night, we'll brief you on that as well, with Dave Leonard. Dave was
With
there.
the dam?
The dam, yeah.
Okay, we can talk about that later. Let's post the next meeting for May 22nd, 2018.
Okay.
Good.
All set?
Yep.
And then minutes for April 24th, 2018. Approve.
Grab those.
Need the folder. Take it.
I pulled up the BVW replication projects.
What?
Because they were talking about the project
Yeah.
or DOT.
Yeah.
List of ideas.
Oh, wait. This is related to the dam thing, but it would include a way that they could divert the money to go towards a different project. Because it's a restoration aquatic connectivity project.
Yeah, that's
Here,
what
I
we'll,
made copies for everyone.
yeah, we'll talk about that.
This is Spark
when we
Notes.
discuss that.
But
Spark notes.
this is the SparkNotes version of the application, and then,
The bottom line is, I think we have, Amanda's got her funding ideas, and Dave Leonard has his, and I think if we can meld the two together.
well,
we
the
can
thing
get
about this one is, it's about them helping you get the plans and bring in parties to get more money.
Hmm,
They will also supply grant funding, again, it's all in my SparkNotes edition.
great, good.
They will supply some funding depending on the circumstances, but they'll also
Did
give
you
you.
talk to the state people?
I haven't talked to them yet at work today.
Because I think, again, just briefly, the thing for you to do is talk to your state people, the administrators, then talk to the state rep's office, talk to Solomon Rose's office, see if he can help us. You know, unfortunately, we have lost a lot of power in this part of the state. We've lost 4 legislators.
I know.
And the biggest hit was Rosenberg, because he
Yeah.
was very powerful, and now he's long gone.
Okay. That was the minutes.
Anyway, we'll discuss it after.
April 24th?
One second. Sorry, we were distracted. And back to April 24th. So,
On the top of your minutes, there's
what?
scroll up. No,
Sorry,
no.
what do you?
Your date on the header.
Kathy gave us a good template tonight. She didn't give us one last meeting. That was part of the problem.
Yeah, she often does that.
So this is the old minutes or new minutes?
That's the last
Old
meeting.
last week's minutes, or last meeting.
Yeah, last week's. I always use last week's.
Okay. I don't know if anyone else is ready, but
Draw continuation, so.
Yep.
307 Chicopee, nothing else, Amanda, that kind of disappeared, or it's disappeared so far?
Yeah, it's disappeared so far.
Okay.
I'll put that on my list. I have tomorrow off, so. And I have a job interview tomorrow. Oh no,
Good luck.
thanks.
In the field?
Yeah, it's doing stormwater assistant, so I'll be going out and doing data collection on different
Nice,
in Lincoln, Mass.
excellent.
Yeah, bit of a drive, but it's a short term, fun,
Yeah.
interesting project.
Good.
Seasonal.
Yeah. Everyone,
That works.
yeah.
It's okay.
So I'll make a motion.
It wasn't spelled wrong.
It is.
Is DOT coming back or not?
They're downstairs.
Oh, they are.
They're tweaking
Can
their,
you scroll up to the very top again? Page 1. Is that all the way to the top? Okay, I just saw May 1st on one of those dates. Never mind.
That meeting was the 24th of
Yep.
April.
Yep.
That was
Looks good
correct.
to me.
Okay. So I will make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'm gonna second again.
All right, great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Print off 4 copies, I guess.
Oops.
$7.15.
do you have a scale?
Hmm?
Do you carry a scale? We have a
I
scale.
think
Hey,
it should be
wires.
an measuring scale or
Yeah.
a weight scale,
For this.
an engineer's. Just use a dollar bill, it's 6 inches long.
That's 10. Is there inches on here?
What's this?
You're better at this than me.
Well, it's 40 scale, so you take this, you go to 40. Okay, so go like this, and when you read this, this is 20 feet, 40 feet. Right, 40 feet, so it's 40 feet, so you're
Staple and pass
68.
down, because then
So
it's long.
that's
so
20
whatever
feet,
it is.
40 feet, 68, 100. But you gotta use the 40 scale.
So
Oh, the printer's starting to get old.
that means that one is
So
15
I'll
feet
go on to 7:15.
from the
Or go
road.
to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's 7:16 now.
Yes.
One thing I have
That's his.
one more.
Hold on. 3 copies or 4 copies?
It should be 4. Put it on the thing?
3.
On paper?
That's what I'm saying. Got a bit.
That's his.
So it's that way. You're welcome.
I had not used this thing before.
Sure will.
Should make bodies.
You guys go, sign,
There it goes.
no paper?
I don't know. Oh, she took pictures. I don't know if he's allowed to clean out that ditch. You can see that he definitely did that too.
I don't know if you own it.
Yeah, it does.
Amanda? We have one more coming to you. Here you go, sir.
How are we doing on paper? Are we doing okay on
Yeah.
paper?
We're okay for now.
7:15, discussion, Mr. Richardson, permission to do some work, thinning of trees within 100 feet of Aldrich Lake. Mr.
Here,
Richardson?
come on up, sir.
In fact, it's in a 32 bachelor,
Okay.
and that's on the north side of.
Oh, yes, I know where it is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in a lot of beaver activity, they've gnawed circumferentially around a lot of the trees that are dead and dying, some of which, if they fell towards the property, could damage some structures that are on the property, some of which, if they fell towards the lakeside, would fall into the lake, which isn't the worst thing.
What
in the world.
species of tree are they?
They are mostly, some high, I have a picture of it.
Are there pine trees?
The pine trees, there's some pine trees that have died, but they're natural death. It's a hardwood.
Okay,
that primarily
okay.
that shouldn't do. There are some dead pines,
Okay.
but those seem to be either insect or.
Prefer the hardwood.
Because I know there's a lot of
it's the
trees,
hardwood for the beaver that-
there's a lot of trees around that property. Are there any trees that would jeopardize the safety of the house during a storm?
Not that have been damaged by the beaver. There are some tall trees,
Okay.
but none that I'm asking to be.
Okay. So we're just seeking to take beaver
The
damaged
dead-
trees
the
out?
dead trees.
Oh, okay, all right, that's a no-brainer then, I think.
Well, they're wildlife habitat.
Well, the question is, are you
Where
gonna
are
do it
they?
yourself or hire a contractor?
I would hire a contractor.
Okay.
Are the trees marked?
The trees are not currently marked. I'm going to wait until I spoke with you all before I move ahead.
Well, I'm
So
just
is
wondering
it a
if they're
slope?
marked so we could go
Do a
look
site
at them.
visit, probably.
Okay, so it's on a slope, it's in the rear of your property, correct?
Pardon?
It's in the rear of your property?
Yes.
So you are going to have someone, are you planning on felling them, or are you planning on having someone climb and remove them?
I imagine some of them would require climbing
Okay,
to remove them, and some of them would be straight fell. There's some very thin ones that could be straight
okay.
fell. but there's some-
Are there trees nearby that a climber could safely link into and then access?
That I don't know. And then there's lots of trees on the property.
No, my only concern is because if you have a tree that it's been girdled at the bottom, depending on the level of decay and damaging,
Yes.
person will not want to climb it. So to make sure that when you have someone going in there, that they have the capacity, or there's a tree that they can link into safely on an associated tree, so they can go up there and do that the way that you requested. And then also to make sure that they don't sit there and tell you they need grapples and bobcats and
Yeah,
that.
no, I would not, if it got to that
Yeah.
level of involvement. I would-
The other way to stay safe is depending on the structure and where they are. It could be to leave them in, I believe it's allowable to leave large size pieces in the wetlands, is just to cut them in larger pieces and leave them and let them rot naturally, which create good habitat.
Yeah. So you said that you were afraid they were gonna fall on a structure?
So some of them are close to, at the edge of that 100-foot
Okay.
no development line, but then on the other side where there's clay structures, we have a chicken coop that if they happen to fall in that direction.
When this was built, was there an order of conditions placed in the house?
I couldn't tell you, it was on the second owner.
I think that's Mike LaBrie, I think. Yeah, that's Mike's house. It's a beautiful house.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of trees around
Something we should
that
look
house.
into as order of
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suspect we should probably do a site visit and we could
Yeah.
work with Mr. Richardson.
Yeah.
You can see Patty owns a tree company, but unfortunately you cannot hire her company on this project.
You can't hire me. I can tell you what to ask
I was
for.
gonna say, what you would recommend, or,
So when we do the site visit, do you wanna have the trees marked?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll do that.
And then, take a look at it from there?
Yeah, because that hillside's steep,
It's pretty
And then
steep.
they, as part of the, when he put the deck on, he had to restore some of those wetlands
Yeah,
stuff.
but if you fell them in such a way where if you have associated trees and then you can chunk them and just let them land onto the embankment, they're fine.
Yeah,
It'll leave natural habitat, because, I mean, in theory, if you let it just go as is, it's gonna fall solid anyway.
right.
So all you're
But
doing
I
is,
also wonder if we should leave them like 20 feet tall too for
no,
wood ducks and stuff.
no, I would just fell them as is, because in theory, it's not gonna, beavers don't chew 20 feet up.
No, I'm saying, no, leave them as wildlife trees. Cut them where they're safe.
I wouldn't.
Well, let's take a look at the trees.
Because that's, if you have a
Let's take a look at the
hazard,
trees on site.
no, if you have a hazard, what you're doing is you're leaving it for the woodlucks, as it rots again, then he'll be in here again when they rot, and they're another hazard, 20 feet up. Trust me.
Let's take a look at it, do a site visit.
That's the best way to
Is
approach
this,
that.
is this something that we're going to charge $65 for?
Yes,
Site
Yeah.
visit?
yes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we need to check for $65 made out to Granby
Town,
Conservation?
no, town of Granby, town of Granby.
Town of Granby, just memo, Conservation Commission site visit. When do you guys wanna do this?
I can do
You
it.
wanna do Saturday morning?
I can do Saturday morning.
I don't know if I'm gonna be here this weekend.
How early Saturday morning?
I have kids, I can be up real early, but
I mean, I'm not trying to be super early. I just have work at 10.
oh, I
So
have,
that was why I was like, you know, how early?
I was hoping like 8.
9 o'clock?
That's fine. 8:30, 9 o'clock, I can do that.
Sure, 9 o'clock.
All right.
This Saturday.
It's your home, yes, sir.
Be, Brittany to check with you and then mark the trees, yeah, somehow. How do you want them to mark the trees? You don't want them painted, do you?
Just a ribbon, you can get some
Some
fluorescent, of course. yeah.
Twine,
Yes.
anything.
So,
Yeah.
this Saturday at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, nice to meet you.
Are you here for a building permit?
Yes.
You are?
For a pool.
For a pool. Sign in
Yeah,
and then,
I'm sure it's different.
sure.
What
Sign
was
in
the
and,
address of that?
the property address.
32 back.
I like the way you worded this.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, but it's ridiculous.
so these other this landscaper still has not got on our agenda.
Oh,
Email.
F and M landscaping.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually.
I
Are we
gotta
gonna
find
have
out.
him go now?
What's the address?
For, oh yeah.
505 East State.
505 East State. You want to pull that up, please?
You can come up.
Yeah, come on up.
We'll take
Sure.
care of you. Yeah.
Technically on the forge, like, mud forge not one.
Okay, let's
But
take a look at
it's-
it.
There was already a pool there for the prior owner, but it was not, they took out,
Okay.
but there's electric, dig safe would have to be there, right? I'm going through all the right way to do it, but
Do you have, is that it? Amanda?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Does that look right to you?
Oh, is that the one Forge Pond, when you come down on the left? The first Forge Pond Road.
that would be me?
I don't-
Yes.
Okay, all right. So yes, that is.
Where's the pool?
Sorry.
Do you have a boat dock
There's a
behind
pool
your
right
house?
here.
Is there a
What
boat
looks
dock
like an old
behind
pool.
your house? Does your neighbor have a boat dock?
Nobody does right now.
Okay.
I know I have
Right
3
here.
koi ponds. that
So what's
are-
the
Oh,
yellow?
okay.
What's the yellow?
That's swamp.
It's actually green, it's just the lighting.
All right,
It is,
So- a marsh?
yeah. I'm gonna go with
Can you-
wooded swamp deciduous.
Could you point out where the pool is going?
That's where the circle
There's
is.
a,
Is this a newer,
that's
blow-up?
relatively new.
This was a blow up.
Ah, okay.
That's the inflatable one?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the kid, I have twins. But it's gonna go basically right there, if that's where the pool was.
That's the old hookups are all in the same
Previous.
area?
Yep, the electrical's there, it's capped off, divot's still on the ground from the pool.
What size pool?
It's a 30 round.
30? 30?
So above ground.
Is it
obviously.
going
Above
to,
ground, 30 ground.
what was in there before?
I don't know because I don't really talk to the guy about it from because I have no trespassing signs to keep him off the property.
Okay.
He was not enjoyable.
Go to Google Earth, please.
And it's 50, 48, 54, 52,
Height
5 feet. Instead of 4.
on the height.
On height.
Okay.
Ooh, the color is starting to go on that bulb. It's gonna blow.
Why are we asking about dark?
Because
The same?
we had an issue with a home in
Oh, I
that
guess
area
this is
the last couple of years. Someone had a boat dock,
All right, time.
and they never got a certificate of compliance for the boat dock, so we had to revisit the project, and they finally got their permit.
It's probably the guy about the house.
Okay.
He's a nightmare.
Okay, so you bought this house within the last 2 years? Okay, that's the same house.
It's a long ground time. That's it could have been a pool. No? Okay.
Bad year.
They all seem to be pretty bad. That is not
Too
cool.
far back.
Okay.
There-
208 looks like
that's
there's a
a pool.
blob. It could be a pool.
That could be a pool. That's a pool.
That's cool? Okay.
It looks like it, am I right?
I mean, it.
30-foot
probably, it's
diameter?
a weird.
2010.
30-foot diameter
30 round.
or circumference?
That's round. It's an unusual round mark.
Across, is it 30 foot
Do
across?
you have a pool permit, what you're looking?
A 30-foot diameter
Yeah,
pool is
it's
a
either-
huge pool. That's a gigantic pool.
What's that?
If it's
30.
30 foot across, that's a
Then it's
huge.
gone.
No, it's 15, 50. Yeah, it's.
See?
Okay, all right.
2010?
It's 30.
2010.
Yeah.
And then did it return?
He's on the property and.
A little bit later, you can see his blow pool.
I love it.
You gotta keep the geese out of the pool, that's gonna be the challenge.
Oh.
There's
That's
a blow
not, yeah, it's exactly the same spot.
And one's tagged and.
Yeah. I know.
Last year, one of them was tagged and now they have a little.
Goslings,
Yes.
All this
Yeah,
wetlands,
Gosling.
it's saying is there.
yeah.
So it doesn't look like it's been wetland there a very long time.
There's 3 koi ponds on it, but I do not have koi.
They have a 27-foot pool,
Is it?
27 feet?
Diameter?
I would imagine so, diameter, because usually it's 24, 26, 28 are the diameters.
No, that's a solar blanket.
Okay, so it's gotta be
Yeah,
20.
if it's a circumference, it'd only be 8 foot in diameter.
Yeah.
Alright, the wife did it, I thought we were doing 30, but whatever this is,
Yeah,
it
it's
is-
gotta be diameter.
Yeah. If the circumference, 8 times pi is about 27, it'd be a pretty tiny pool, so it's gotta be diameter.
Yeah, it's so,
Oh, for exercise.
you guys,
All right, so he doesn't have the
Yes.
permit. Do we have a way to print out an extra sheet? Or do we have any extra sheets?
Isn't probably just on the Granby website.
Building permit forms? I
Forms
thought
and
there was a bunch
documents.
over there.
I was, so this is the right thing to do, I should have been here tonight.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, you're
No,
good.
Absolutely, you're
Yeah.
doing the right thing, thank you.
Building department?
he doesn't have the same permit, for us to
Yeah,
sign.
but the form
Swimming
comes
pool.
with, there you go.
This is what they told us to do
Yep.
on our stuff, so.
Is that the same application he has right there? Hold on.
Yes.
It's in blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he's got the swimming pool application.
If there's no sign off, we'll check.
Yeah, we're looking for the sign-off sheet. There
There
it
There
it
it
is.
is, right there, bingo.
So
Found
it should
it.
be page 3.
There-
Right, but he probably needs the entire form.
Oh, I thought that was the entire form.
You,
New,
if you wanna print page 3, just print page.
print page 3. Okay. We need page 3. The rest is
Oh,
the
here.
pool application.
Oh, it's printing to my printer at home. That's
Your
cool.
stuff.
Hmm?
It's printing to my printer at home.
Let's see.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Just-
It's not gonna work.
So what do you guys wanna do? Somebody make a motion, or you wanna look at it?
Is it going in the exact same
Exact
location?
same spot, because the electrical is
Right
Are you
there.
gonna do any more excavation or just remove the pool and kind of dress up the bedding and
There's
everything?
no pool in there.
It's a blow-up pool.
The divots there from the last pool, the electrical's there from the last pool.
So basically cut the grass that's there.
Cut the, yeah.
There's going to be minimal excavation, which I gotta talk to Teddy Bear because they think they're gonna come in, they're like, what do you want the dirt pile? I'm like, there's gonna be no dirt. There's
dirt
no-
pile, we better do a site visit.
No, there's no dirt pile.
You sure?
There's,
All right.
if anything, it's gonna be a skim. I used to put in pools for pool tech and oil, so I just didn't want to do this.
All right.
Well,
I'm sick of I put two of them in my life. Yeah, literally, if they do excavations, it'll be grass and
what's the address?
505 East State Street.
Did we say 28-foot diameter pool?
The house next door to you is the post and beam, correct?
Yep. Just down the street.
Yeah.
Down towards or down?
Towards School Street.
It's on, the post and beam is on the
Is it the
corner.
red and white one?
Yes, it's on the corner of School and 202.
The guy that I bought the house from also built that house.
Oh, okay, because that house was interesting as well.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve?
This
You
gentleman
said
is
a
not
30-foot circumference pool?
I had a lot of
Or
surprises.
what did we say is happening?
28-foot diameter,
20-foot diameter.
28.
28 foot diameter.
And the great thing is, if you put a porch on one, lives with his girlfriend.
Is there a motion to approve, or is there a motion to?
Yes.
There is a motion on the table?
Yeah.
Did you put a motion on the table?
No, I didn't.
You guys want to make a motion?
Yes, what we were thinking, we need a motion.
Do we, so we don't need a site visit?
No.
If he's placing it in the same position, on the
Same.
same grass area,
Correct.
Same electrical already existing, he's already gone through the that's already been done once.
Yeah.
We don't need to,
The only thing that's gonna happen is where the box is tapped up.
yeah,
I'm just gonna put the pole up. I have an electrician come in, put the box on.
yeah, that doesn't disturb anything, so it's fine.
All right, so I make a proposal to approve the building permit for, what is it, 505 East State Street?
East State Street.
I second. Second
All in
today.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What's your name again?
DRY.
Yeah, what you do?
Yeah.
Another one issue.
Alright. No.
Ed, I just got your text you sent me at 4:19. Just
So
came.
I want to get out of it.
7:35.
Yep.
Do you wanna continue, Forge?
Thank you. Sign away, guys.
Although technically we have Jeffrey Bissett at 7:30.
Well, let's go through the 7:30s
Okay.
real quick.
We got
Pass it back. Patty, you want to sign this, please?
Yes, of course.
And
I love signing things.
You're all set, Ron, good luck. Grab that
we
from
don't need to
Andy.
pay the building department. You pay the building department, we don't, if we went to the site, it'd be $65, but there's no site visit involved.
So
Yeah.
now, I could leave from here and I go to the building department
Yeah.
and they're,
Yes.
They're open, sure.
okay, so, alright.
Yep.
I don't, does he hold evening hours now?
I don't think-
I think he does actually, doesn't he?
Does
Evening hours at the building department?
You'd have to call.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Oh, no, I'm not tonight, I'm not.
Okay.
I just know this, I think
All
this is.
right, let's go on to our
Yeah,
7:30.
he'll let you know if you have to do anything else.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your
All right,
time.
have a
No,
great
thank
day.
you.
Dimitri.
Thanks. 7:30 appointments, public hearings. First on the list is Mr. Fugler's East Street. I do not see anybody here from Mr. Fugler, so.
Has anybody
that's
been
a
out there at all?
Ongoing, continuing project. Last time was it Bill or who? Amanda?
I went out a while ago, but someone
It was a
else
while
went
ago.
after me.
I went out.
There you go.
Question, when's his next target date, his next benchmark?
No.
I think he's gotta have something done.
Kevin Brooks came in the last meeting and gave us a report, a verbal report. I don't think he's issued anything in writing.
No. Can't remember. I thought they had to allow growing season.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think the next benchmark was
It's gonna be November then.
That's what I'm saying, I thought it was in the fall.
Okay, all
We
right.
approved it for.
I think,
for keep
don't
us
quote
in
me
the
on that.
loop.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Basically
can't
approved for him
remember.
to keep us in the loop.
Yeah, I know. That's all he was supposed
That's
to
all we
do.
asked him for, to keep us in the loop, so,
Yep.
okay, so I guess you want to strike that from, or you want to just keep it on the?
Let's keep it
Let's keep it on the
on,
agenda.
at least for a few more weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go out there in the next couple of weeks, take a look.
Okay, 7:30, we have a RDA filed by Jeffrey Bissett. Anyone here for Mr. Bissett?
Well, that one is closed out, we signed
No, he
off.
kept,
I thought that's 117 Amherst Street, which
We
was
have
at
put it
Leachfield.
closed out in
why does it keep showing
Yeah,
up?
we gotta tell Kathy to erase that.
Yeah, we said that the last time.
We did say that the last time.
Yes, we
I
did.
forgot to send it to her.
That's okay.
Who did,
We did approve that. That's the RDA for the septic system.
Mhm.
Yes.
let's write it out, it's gone.
Thank you. 7:40.
35, DC. No, we have 735, DCR Forge Pond.
I know, well, I'm going back up.
Oh,
So
you're going
this-
back up.
So 7:30, continuation of the DCR Forge Pond. You guys, we had talked earlier under your commentary about Forge Pond,
Yes.
and you guys went to the selectmen meeting.
Yep.
Monday.
And, I looked more into the, like the DVR funding and options, and I printed up some little cheat sheets, if anyone would like to take a look. They do a lot with working with communities to help them find and secure funding and supporters. They also offer grants, and they just do a lot of the extra work, and they bring in contractors that will help you
Do the work.
do a lot of the stuff
Man,
Is this to fix the dam or remove the dam?
to remove the dam.
I
This
mean-
has to be a removal project.
I have a question.
If
We were,
there's to be
we were
involved.
red flagged on a map. Could you call that map up?
What, now, Bill, did you go to the meeting yesterday? So what was brought up as far as repair or removal?
Well, I think we have to kind of do an alternatives analysis, but what I'm getting at with this red dot, if we're red dotted, they clearly want us to take that dam out, which means I'm hoping they'll allow us not to have to do a $30,000 or $40,000 feasibility study. I hope
Well,
we can
that's
go-
part of this. They'll do the feasibility study.
Oh, they will.
So even if they take you on,
Oh, good.
I'm gonna
You know,
send
Dave,
you all a copy
Dave
of
Leonard
this.
he was not aware of that, was he?
No, he was
Good,
not.
I'm
And
glad-
he,
I'm
he
glad you did
doesn't,
that
he
research.
still
You did a
doesn't
good
think
job.
it's a good idea. He's only perused it.
Well,
so far.
the reason is
He thinks that-
he's an engineer, he wants to make money, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. And also he thinks that you think that we're gonna get the whole thing funded, but they don't just fund the whole thing, but they will help
That's right.
on all different elements, and there are grant options that they
You know,
will.
my objective, and I think
consider
the
you for.
commission's objective is, if we're red flagged on the state by ecological restoration, take it out. Let's plan on taking it out. But from a taxpayer's perspective in town, let's try to do it for free. Get it done. Let the state pay
Yeah.
for it. If they really want it out, let them do it. And I think that's what's gonna happen.
Is it owned by Granby?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think Amanda can talk to DCR or DER people, then talk to the state reps, talk to Solomon Rose, and see if he
Well,
can
the
work the
thing
state house
is,
people.
the grant options, they are, again, I highlighted it in here.
Yeah,
They
they're right here.
are given as on a reimbursement basis. So like you still have to
You pay
front
out,
the money and they reimburse you
Okay.
after, but that's
Okay.
all in the agreement in the beginning,
Okay.
so it's not like a
But
surprise.
so did they talk about having a vote about this?
They want more information, the selectmen want more information, because I was not prepared to present this, and I didn't know that much about this.
Amanda, is there a legend? What does that red dot mean? Does it say, what does
Yeah,
it say?
it means that we're in the 95th percentile
All right, so,
for ecological benefit.
so what does that mean?
There is a whole little section in here about how to use the tool and all of the details about the tool and what each little thing means.
Yeah, if you
So you
could,
can kind of go through each.
if you could talk to them on the telephone, because clearly, if they really want it taken out, which I'm gathering is the case,
State,
they're gonna pick up the tab for this.
the state.
Oh, yes. Oh,
It's
yes.
not so much that though. You should just peruse this because it's kind of, they are looking for local leadership to actually like do the
Organize
effort and
the
like
plan.
yeah, but they will assist you in every way they can, like help you with the planning, and they provide a lot of different areas of support. It's
So-
just they're not looking, they're not just giving out handouts. They want you to be the initiative.
So they're crying, not it, saying you're it, get it done and we'll help you.
Well, they're not saying that. It's, the program isn't to tell you you're doing something wrong. It's telling you you've got a good opportunity.
Right.
And that you are you're at the top for getting into their program, for being a priority project. And as a priority project or a provisional, if they don't have enough information to make a decision, you'll be a provisional project, and they'll continue to give you guidance and do the feasibility studies for that first year to kind of help get the ball rolling.
We're gonna have to
And then
do a
after that year, they'll
feasibility study.
decide.
That's what this says.
Yeah.
So with the feasibility study, it's almost like a phase 2, or is it not?
Well,
a
the
phase two?
feasibility study is gonna be an alternatives analysis. What's the cost gonna be to fix it? What's the cost gonna be to take it down? Why should you do this? Why should you do this? Then it's essentially gonna point us in the direction of taking the dam out. And then after that, you gotta do design, you gotta do some geotechnical work, you gotta do some hydrology.
So you
They,
have to do
they
phase
offer
2.
all of that in their, in the packet.
So to figure out what the cost of repair,
They
you
get
have
the
to do phase 2.
geotechnical studies.
Oh, yeah. Well, the feasibility, I think we can estimate what the repair cost is gonna be on the phase 2, without the definitive design, just the preliminary conceptual design. But again, the bottom line is, I don't want this town to pay $1 million and not get reimbursed, and our taxes go up another $300 a quarter.
Yep.
Oh,
That's the bottom line. We're paying
And
enough
the
taxes.
phase 1 has been updated again,
Yes,
so we're in
Yes.
compliance.
Yeah.
yeah.
And when's the
And
next,
probably phase
another
one,
6 months?
how many, every 6 months it has to be done?
I think so, every 6
Yeah.
months. But that means you gotta record at the registry of deeds, I think, every 6 months,
Yeah.
which can get expensive after a while. You know, $500 here, $500 there, plus recording fees.
Nickel and dime.
Right, and you've still got the problem at hand,
Right.
so.
And then like even repairing it, it's just putting a Band-Aid on it, because it's not gonna last forever.
No,
So that was the reason for the consideration of taking it out and looking at options of finding funding.
Again, to take this out, it might take 5 years to essentially get this program done before this
Oh, easily.
happens. So this is gonna be a slow roll. This is not gonna happen overnight. This will be
Yeah.
a slow roll project. But at least we can show good faith that we're moving forward.
Yep.
And Amanda, good job finding this DER stuff.
Wonderful cliff notes, by the way.
very good, thank you. So we're all set with the DCR Forge Pond guys for now?
Next.
Coming up on 7:45. 7:45, continuation of notice of intent filed by Mike P.O. PC Development. Is there anybody here from Mr. P.O.?
Move
Do
to
we need
continue.
do we need to contact them and find out if they're
He's in the
withdrawing
middle
it?
of a 401.
Yeah, right now, David Fowlis and Dave Cameron are working together with PO directly to
Okay,
get the old 401 closed out. They gotta close out the old project before they even consider approving this new project.
okay, so they're
Then he's
moving
gonna file
forward.
another 401
Yeah,
for the new
then there'll
project.
be another 401, yeah.
Okay, so so they are working on something.
They
Yes,
are.
yes.
So I make a motion to continue to May 22nd, 7:45.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a continuation of Kestrel Trust, 307 Chicopee Street. Amanda, has any news? You haven't heard anybody
I
from
have not
Kestrel?
heard anything.
Kestrel Trust has
I'll
not.
contact them tomorrow. Tomorrow's my day off,
If-
so I
Yeah,
should do
I'll
that.
make a motion to continue to the next meeting, but if they don't come in the next meeting, we'll just strike it from the minutes. Or strike it from the next meeting. Let them contact us.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to continue to May 22nd.
Second.
Favor, aye.
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 Same motion, continuation certificate of compliance with Children's First. They don't have the growing seasons as of yet. So,
I wonder if we should send them an email, see if they've been out there to pull any more invasive.
Well, I did last week. I sent them an email.
Oh, all right.
Never heard from
Jeff,
them.
from Jeff Squire.
Squires,
Mr.
Squire, yeah.
Okay.
Because again, if they're gonna pull out their multiflora, now's the time to do it.
Mm.
Okay.
So I move we continue that one.
Continue that same motion.
Second.
In favor, aye.
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 I don't know why this is on here, 98 Cold Hill complaint. I thought we discussed this last meeting.
We did.
He,
Isn't he revising?
He's amending his
He's amending it,
NOI
so,
yeah,
application.
There's no need.
Yeah, we can strike that.
Strike the,
Want to strike or continue?
I guess when he brings in the paperwork, then
then he'll let us know.
Well, is it considered a complaint at this point?
No.
Probably not.
Well, the issue was that the siltation fence was not properly installed from what I was told. I think it's been corrected,
I think you remedied that.
right? So that was the issue, was the erosion, so. So you want to strike till next, let him come back in?
yes.
Yeah.
So we'll remove 7 Phillips Circle complaint. Oh, I'm sorry, 98 Cold Hill complaint. Move that to, till he comes in with his amendment. Okay, moving on, 7 Phillips Circle complaint.
Two Saturdays ago,
Was
right?
it 2 Saturdays ago? Yes. 2 Saturdays ago. So you guys want to talk about what you saw? I mean, I was there too, but
Well, 2 Saturdays ago, we did a site visit to 7 Phillips Circle. Reported issue involving a potential filling of wetlands. Mr. Bernier had straw wattles set up outside of his zone of work. I went in with a hand auger, augered about 6 holes. I noticed a topsoil, a fill layer ranging 8 to 12 inches thick, a mucky layer below that, hydric soils below that. The question is though, we don't know when that fill was placed. That fill could have been placed this past winter. It could have been placed 40 years ago.
sure.
So that's indeterminate at this point.
That's one issue.
That's one issue. The second issue is there wetland soils or vegetation, or was there wetland soils or vegetation to the east, that is up the hill from the work zone? We don't know that as of yet. And I think you guys did some work on some trees out back, so if you want to report on that, Patty.
So we crossed the bridge crossing,
Yes.
and, on the side, not where the playground was, but closer to the shed, there were, I believe, 8, 9?
I think probably at least 9.
At least 9. I don't think more than 10, and because I could notice the suckers from the red maples. So, and they weren't saplings. They were all like, I placed my phone on them, and they were larger than. So they were probably all about 8. Some were a little
Some were pretty
larger.
big.
Some were larger, but nothing more than a foot. But they were all definitely not saplings. They were all smaller trees that had been removed in the entire span along that bank.
So that's evidence of wetland alteration.
Wetland alteration.
It also appears that the brook through there has been excavated of some sort compared to upstream.
Well, I don't have any measure of that. I do know that I can attest to the fact that not only that, but we have also non-native species planted in the wetlands.
So, okay.
All right, so what do you
Hold
got?
on.
So, couple things we can do. We can have Mr. Bernier bring in his wetlands consultant to field delineate the wetlands.
Yep.
And we can verify. We can have him field delineate the wetlands, and we can hire a peer reviewer to verify. Or we could have issue an enforcement order to do essentially the same thing and restore the affected wetland area. So we can either do it with an enforcement order right up front, or we can have Nick bring in a wetlands consultant to essentially define the wetland boundary. And if the wetland boundary is
Which wetland boundary? The one that was
the
originally?
one to the west of his property, behind the shed all the way down to
So
where
both
he-
sides?
Yes, both sides. Because if the boundary agrees with what Nick had thought it was, then there's no basis for an enforcement other than the tree, other than the tree cutting.
And
So a couple ways we can
I don't
do
know
this.
if we have any pictures that show it, but according to the plan from 1988, the well was only 15 feet from the wetland line.
Is that an as-built? Or is that proposed?
Good question.
It's proposed.
Oh, all
So
right, so,
the other issue too, Bill, is
So-
do we look at the 1988 delineation as being the true boundary?
DEP advised that we look at all available evidence, including old data from the 80s and the current DEP aerial photo that's been marked up, the
and
cross-hatched area.
according to what I was reading, it's considered a conservation easement, and nothing's supposed to happen in there,
In the entire subdivision,
in that whole wetland area.
the entire subdivision,
Yes,
not just that lot.
right, the whole,
The
yes.
entire subdivision that was posted as a conservation easement.
Yes, I pulled out all the files and one has all.
Yeah. Amanda, could you call the Mass GIS up with the overlay, the wetlands overlay, please? Because we have to essentially give Nick's consultant some marching orders as what to look for.
So I wonder if we ever had an as-built for this.
I doubt it.
Doubt it. So this is the best information we have then.
Hold on.
But hold on, yeah,
We're
we'll take
discussing.
some,
Because it will help you guys out.
yeah.
We're discussing right now, so we'll open it up to the general public in a second. Mr. Bernier will speak first, and then we'll ask for input from the audience. That's fine, that looks good. One's, oops, there we go. So DEP has asked us to look at this as far as,
Whether or not there was alteration, filling, or excavation in a resource area.
Can we go back in
DEP
time?
not on this.
No, go ahead, Ed. Go ahead, one at a time, please. Go ahead, Ed.
Does DEP want an enforcement order on this, or do they want us just to start?
I think they want us to investigate the situation,
So-
and if an enforcement order is warranted, we would proceed with that.
Okay.
But I think data collection is what we have to do first. And again, we did some very rudimentary work 2 weeks ago, but at least we have an idea that there was some filling and was some tree cutting. Again, the filling may have occurred before the Wetlands Protection Act was in order.
Exactly, that's why I kind of go back to the original
Oh, yeah,
lines
What
as
was
being
that?
controlling.
83, 1983. So if the filling occurred in 82, it was done legally.
Well, this is 88.
Well,
Yeah, that's 88.
Well, they
When-
may have massaged that site before 88.
but when they were approved under the subdivision control law and then under the wetlands, because there should be an original filing for this street. Do we have a number on this? Is there a DEQE number or is it a DEP number? Because I think in 88, it went over to
Actually,
DEP.
David DeRocher sent me some stuff that I have to, let me look it up. Let me take a few minutes here.
So, to move this along, from what we've observed on that Saturday, you're saying that appears to be areas that have been filled, whether or not they've been filled in 82 or 2012, we don't know.
It'd be really hard to date the date of filling. Again, that's a very difficult and expensive task for anybody.
This is lot 21, right?
But when it was
You think-
originally filed, Bill, that was delineated, the wetlands were delineated.
Yeah, I've got the Jennifer drawings right here, so let me see if I can call them up. View all. Unable to generate preview.
Yeah, so. I have to open them up.
Oh, Dave sent them as TIFs.
Well, how do we get this thing moving?
I think, let's talk to Mr. Bernier, see if he's willing to retain a wetland consultant to start the delineation process.
Okay, and then when we delineate the wetland boundaries, are
You
we
don't
gonna
have-
ask for an RDA or are we doing a notice of intent? Probably an RDA at first.
Yes,
Under the RDA, can we put once the wetland boundaries are determined, are we to monument the wetlands with permanent markers?
Yes. And I suggest, given the nature of this project, we either use our internal expertise to verify the accuracy of the delineation or engage a peer reviewer. One of the two. And again, we don't have to decide right
We don't
yet
have to decide
how we're
now,
gonna
right.
do this.
We can decide that
Yeah,
another
we
time.
can do that in the future.
So you're saying you're going for an RDA?
So why don't we ask
Well,
Mr. Bernier if
that'd
he's...
probably be the first step at minimum is an RDA.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
Request for determination of applicability and for the wetland
Well,
delineation.
delineation.
To verify.
We
the
need to
wetland
verify it.
boundaries and lock them in. So, are you, Mr. Bernier, are you willing to hire a consultant to delineate the wetlands on both sides of your property and file what's called a request for determination of applicability for wetland boundaries?
I spoke with Mr. Weiss, said that you guys were over as soon as you left. He stated that he'd be able to help me, but he also stated that he's very busy right now. He said that he cannot make it tonight, cannot make it next week, or 2 weeks from now already. But he is willing to work with me, me to retain his services.
What- Yeah, but what we're looking for is the actual delineation, Mr. Weiss coming in here talking about
No,
it.
I know that's.
It has to be physically done on
that's
the
what he said.
ground.
He said, you can tell us, you can have them call me or tell me what they want me to do, so.
Okay.
He's waiting for that call.
Did you want to talk to him?
Yes, I will.
So we'll tell Mr. Weiss what his orders are for wetland delineation. We're looking at a soil condition, so he may want to investigate the original subdivision delineation versus what's there today. So it may be spot on, it may be different, we don't know. So,
The thing that I'm having a little trouble with understanding is, number one, 4 years ago when I did my RDA for my addition, we were all on site then,
mhm.
and there were certain areas that weren't a problem. And at this point, since then, not a ton has changed. I understand my project that I'm working on currently, understand that. But the last time we were there,
4 years ago, when we filed for that permit, I believe that was not checked off, the wetland boundaries were not checked off for verification.
I'm just referring to like site visit.
I understand, but I understand what you're asking.
So the grass in the rear side, the grass in the rear side by the shed that was removed, that grass is the same that it was 4 years ago, it wasn't a problem. I have a picture of the shed still in place 4 years ago with the grass, exactly
I
where it
think
is right now.
at the time, the shed was in wetlands.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm saying, it's
Right.
still with the grass.
What about the trees and
The
shrubs
trees
that are
and
now there
shrubs.
in all the mulch?
Well, we have significant storm damage, there's also hazardous trees.
But that's where you have to ask permission.
Right, we need, that's what's,
I'm learning this as I go.
sure, so, I mean, if this is something that we need to delineate the boundary lines, and you wanna do certain activities, you have to file a notice of intent permit if you wanna do certain things, if you want, whatever you wanna do that's in a resource area needs to be filed for, so let's take it one step, I guess, and get the wetland boundaries determined exactly where they are, today versus,
What I was getting at is, the area that we're working currently is the area in question. I don't understand why we're going back. And like you were saying, how, in the 80s and 90s, 2000s, previous owners, I don't know if there's got to be some type of limitation on that, like statute of
Well,
limitations.
the 1980s delineation might be your friend, it may not be your friend.
Wetlands do move,
Right.
wetlands do move, and the fact that there was some tree cutting didn't really help the situation.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And according to our paperwork, there was a conservation easement on that whole wetland where nothing could be done in
The
there.
entire project, not just your lot, every
Yes.
lot that has a wetland on it, so.
I guess, when you have, what do they call it, the widowmaker tree, you know what I mean, hanging over your head, kids
But
playing.
again,
I understand, now I'm learning.
Come in and say, hey, I got a problem, we gotta cut this tree, and then,
But the widowmaker tree is one, and clearing is multiple. And what I will state very clearly is that I just had a gentleman in here today who hasn't even hired anyone, who has some trees, and he says, hey, they're beaver damaged, and they're dead, and he to take precautions and say, I need to ask first. And when you had widowmakers or storm damage, the number of people in town who called us was extensive, just to say, can I take these down, or do I need to? And when you know in that area specifically, because you were here for that area specifically, it's common sense to say, well, because I've had problems in that area, we're not talking the grass area, to make a phone call and say, I better check, because the last time I had to move a shed, let me make sure. Because when, you know, when we're told, we're told.
So I think what we can do is if he files, so let's get the wetland delineation first. And the issues with the tree cutting, we'll have to deal with, how do we deal with that?
And the mulch and the rhododendrons and possibly.
He may have to replicate the wetland, i.e. put in some new red maples.
Right, and what it is it's simply, he gets delineated, we know what is what, and then how much is disturbed, we calculate the percent, and then he plants some trees and leave the stumps as is.
What's already cut at this point, unfortunately.
Oh, you have to leave them.
Right. You can't-
It's
you can't
recent
stop.
because they're suckered, so they're
Right,
not,
well,
they're not doing.
So is the prudent thing to do an NOI, or let Mr. Weiss determine whether or not he should go a notice of intent? Because
But the RDA will cover us though.
that will cover the
Yeah, the
boundary.
problem is,
It'll cover the boundaries.
NOI would,
You can do the same thing in an NOI.
yeah, but NOI would mean a work plan. We really have no work plan. We just wanna kind of find out what's going on site, so maybe the RDA's the best
Start
way.
with the
And
RDA.
then if we do have to create a restoration plan,
Oh, yeah, that would be.
then
That's
you
an
would,
NOI.
then you would have to
Positive.
go
Oh,
to
yes.
NOI.
Oh, yeah.
So if
Oh,
Mr. Weiss thinks that it's just may as well do the NOI, why bother with the RDA? If he can make that step, saying that this activity requires a notice of intent, then he might save the step and don't bother with the RDA and go straight for the.
All right, well, I'll talk to Mr.
Yeah, let
Weiss
Mr.
by
Weiss know.
telephone,
I
and
think
we'll
that-
come up with a game plan, okay?
So I'm gonna open up for the
Save this.
audience, any comments, questions, or, I'm sorry, Mr. Bernier, do you have any other comments?
We'll deal with, Mr. Weiss and
Okay,
move forward.
okay, thank you. Any comments,
Yeah.
name and address, please?
My name is Cindy Gazda, and I'm trying to.
Address?
Cindy Gazda, 21 Jennifer Drive.
Okay.
I'm trying my best to be able to keep up with every single thing that you guys discussed. And one of the things, I agree with Mr. Bernier, that you're going back so many, like 88, that if you go back just to the previous owner, and Google Maps goes back 2 years, and you could see on Google Maps exactly how much the width of the tree area was to where it is now. Two, if you go back to the guy that owned it before, he turned around and had many complaints because he wanted to be able to use part of his backyard and couldn't because it was determined wetlands. So he had approached the town more than once to be able to use part of his yard. So at that time, people did come out and look at his land and say, no, those were wetlands. Three, the day that I decided to be able to make a complaint to the DEP, on my phone is where I took the pictures. They have dates on my phone. I can't alter my pictures. I can't alter my phone dates. It shows at least 50 feet of him digging up all the dirt that was in the front yard and putting it all up against the wetlands, cutting down the trees, and then filling it in with the dirt. I have pictures. Pictures don't lie.
Cindy, would you be able to print those out and put a submittal package together for the commission? Thank you, thank you.
I printed them all out.
Okay.
I have also a disc from 3 years ago when he first started to film in wetlands. I have a disc on my 35mm camera that has all the dates on exactly. You can even see from what the pictures that I took 3 years ago to the pictures that I got the beginning of March.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at those.
It was like 50 feet for 150 feet length and about 50 feet wide. He was filling it all in. And that's why I took pictures that I did. And he doesn't like what I did, and he put that up a stockade fence, whatever, I don't care, because you guys are allowed to be able to walk on the land anytime you want.
But I took pictures from then that have time stamped, pictures on my phone now that are time stamped, and it shows clearly exactly what it used to look like and what it looks like now. And you could also speak to the neighbors. Ask the neighbors if they've seen him filling in the wetlands. Ask the neighbors.
Well, okay, what was the previous owner's name?
It was,
Louis Brown.
Brown.
Yep.
Louis Brown?
Louis Brown.
B-R-O-W-N? Did Mr. Brown come to our committee at any point, or commission?
He lives
Yeah.
in where? I could get a hold of
He
him.
did.
2093.
Let me ask you a question,
And
Cindy, if I could, please.
So do we
Mr.
have
Chair,
some
Mike.
maps?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, question. Cindy, in your recollection, did Mr. Brown do any wetland filling?
No. No, he was so upset that the town said, absolutely not, you can't touch it. He was so upset, and he approached the town
Okay.
more than once.
Okay, if you could enter that into the record, Amanda, that photo set for our review, we'll include that in our
We'll
review
take
package.
that if you want.
Thank you.
Drop it off here, give it to
Yeah,
Amanda.
we can give it.
I will.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Brenner.
I
Close up
just
that.
heard it through the grapevine hearsay. Mr. Brown actually had some type of enforcement against him for things that he did on my property
Okay.
before I owned it.
Okay.
One of them was like a no occupancy permit for the garage. Like, he did a lot, bro.
Understood.
So-
So let's,
But it's hearsay. I have no facts.
That's exactly.
But-
okay, hold on. So what we're gonna,
Garage.
hold on. So what we're gonna do is, we'll let Mr. Weiss come in and look through those records, please.
Yep.
And Mr. Weiss will take that delineation, do his field work, gather whatever information he needs to get this done and get this wetland delineated and marked off.
I'm trying to get the end result. It's,
Okay,
it's within reason.
sure.
I'm not saying it's perfect.
So-
We've already had this conversation. I'm not saying it's perfect. But it's within reason. It's nothing like 50 by 500 feet.
Let's,
Can I
let's,
address
Oh,
her?
sure.
I just want to address your one statement on why we have to go back so far, because we didn't answer it. I think what's important to note is that when we notice violations and we are called in to look at things, we first of all want to be thorough. And second of all, when we are thorough, we do go that far back sometimes. And it creates situations where not just one individual in a neighborhood is being looked at, but possibly many. And we have to be mindful of the fact that if we appear as a board to be singling out one neighbor without looking at the whole, then that's not in good spirit of the law. And the law states that we should look at, any kind of encroachment. So unfortunately, when we notice our neighbors doing things, which is important to call us and let us know, please, that's not what we're saying, that we have the right to go back as far in the records as we need to. And unfortunately, that means if we look at things and find other people who might be doing something, an informal enforcement is us just educating the community as a whole. And it's an opportunity for our board to educate the community and say, hey, please be mindful when you notice wetlands, that even though it's something that you purchased, that you're still responsible for whatever was done on your property prior to your purchase. So it's a good educational opportunity for people who are in town to realize, what do you mean? No, if something was voted on and decided upon your property prior to your owning it, you're still held accountable to that. And it's added in, and I think that's what I wanted to answer, is that we're not going back to look for the final end all answer, because Bill's right. We don't know when the fill was placed there. No, who put it there and when. But what we can say is, okay, there's some policies and some things that were put on this project to develop it, and that were lost that were sold out, and now we're looking, and we have the opportunity to inform all the neighbors. So that's why.
Could I also add to that? When he keeps on saying that, storm damage and trees that were overhung and need to be taken, that's, like you said, one tree instead of a whole row of trees.
Well,
And that's when I got upset, when all the trees started disappearing. And then all the little saplings that are in between the trees, gone. And then he started to fill in, put in the dirt. That's when it just got.
But we've answered, but the good thing is that we've heard you, we've gone and done a site visit, we're doing everything in our responsibility to enforce what we can, and we're also doing it in a way that's very respectful, to the person who we're doing it to, because that's expense to him. and it is a cost. And there are a lot of people who push the boundaries and a lot of people who think, well, okay, I did it for this one thing, but it doesn't apply. This is the entire binder of everything that you should know about the law. I can't expect every homeowner in the town of Granby to read that and to be aware of the board footage you're allowed to take. You're allowed to take trees off your property a certain amount per year, but is every homeowner in the town of Granby gonna read the allowable law? So we try with the best of intention to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and we're appreciative that you did bring it to our attention because it appears that there might be some things that need to be addressed, but at the same time, we need to be mindful of who did what when, and you know what, I don't have the scientific technology to know when the fill was placed there, unfortunately, originally.
Well, the
So-
only reason why I was bringing that up, because I kind of agree with him, that if it's all the way back in 1988, who knows what could have happened between the time that he owned it to the time of 1988.
Right.
I figured that we're just trying to differentiate. what
But to
he's
figure
done.
out a wetland, you have to look at soil, and
I
soils,
understand that.
yeah, it's a tricky thing, so we want to be fair.
But, and also with you said you had dug down and you had seen
I saw some fill, it
Some
wasn't
fill.
terribly deep, it was between 8 and 12 inches in depth. Below it was a black muck, which is your classic wetland
Wetlands.
hydric soil, A horizon, your topsoil layer. Below that was a gray mottled subsoil, which is a hydric soil.
And
So,
that's where these pictures show exactly that fill.
So,
All right, so
That fill.
if you want, I'm all set. Anybody else have any comments on the board?
Good.
Could I
All
ask one
set?
more question about the pictures? Do you want me to date which ones are the 3 years ago and which ones are now?
They're not timestamped? I
I
thought you said
don't know if these are timestamps, but I got them on my, I've never,
if you want to send them,
I never erased what was on my disk or what is on my phone, but I don't know if these are timestamped. I don't
well, we
know.
need data that's
we
timestamped.
need a timestamp.
Yeah, we can't have
Let me
any
get a
just-
timestamp.
information that's just random in a temporal perspective. We need something we know when it was taken.
Well, it's got his truck on the pictures. To show
yeah,
that
we're
it's
not gonna,
his.
if it's not timestamped, we'll just come back when you have a timestamp.
Okay.
Okay. That's fine.
So what do we got next?
All right, so Mr. Bruner, you're all set. You know, have Al Weiss give us, or call
Yeah.
Bill or
I've
myself.
been trying to call you guys, it's really tough to get through it. Is it just calling a town hall, is that, because there's no queue to pay,
Al,
like, the
no, we don't have,
conservation.
our only, is Kathy Leonard is our secretary.
4677177.
Yeah, so I called a few times because I was trying to tell you that Alan could come with me, but I had no luck getting through to anybody.
Have him call
But,
Bill or myself. He has our number.
Okay, that's what I'll do. Or even if you want to call him, he said just out of call me. That's what he told me on Saturday when you were there.
We'll hook up, he'll call us, we'll call him and tell him what we're looking for, and he can give us a time when it'll be,
Obviously, I'm more than willing to work with you guys. I've been here every time. I cannot make it on the 22nd. I can tell
that's
you right
fine.
now.
And I guess Al will be unavailable for a few weeks.
Yeah, he's out, he's straight out, he told me.
That's fine.
So,
So he can give us a timeline when he
Yeah.
thinks he'll have it.
yeah.
I'm guessing he'll have it for a few months.
Yeah, he told me this time of year, it's very common to be booked out, you know.
Right, I understand. I understand. Okay.
But again, we have to show progress. We don't want to delay
Feel free
this.
to call me.
in
Like I
any
said, I have
fashion.
trouble getting through to you guys, but
Okay.
you know my number, and
Oh, thank you.
I'll get down and call you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming in.
Who
Thank
was
you.
the guy that was here, that was, a contractor, the first meeting? Is there a way to be able to get the list? Because that guy that was here, he did state that he had been on that property when Mr. Brown was there and knows exactly where that wetland boundary
I don't think Mr. Brown is germane to this particular case, frankly.
Not at this point.
No.
It's a
I
previous
definitely would
owner.
like time. to
Previous
review
owners,
this stuff.
that's a tough thing.
So we have to move on to our next.
Thanks for coming in, Cindy.
Thank you.
We'll keep you
Thank you.
posted. Okay, Ed, what's next on the agenda here?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We can
Yep.
look up and see if we can.
Mass Highway is here.
DOT.
Do you want to,
Yeah, Ms.
Take
Fink,
them
come on
real
up,
quick.
discuss. Amanda, if you'd be so kind on the flash drive on tonight's folder,
Yeah.
There's a map showing some potential compensatory storage region, so if you'd be kind enough to call that up.
You want to pull up a chair, a couple of chairs, or somebody gets a comfy chair?
I don't think we've met, my name is Al Ligian.
Oh, you have your own flash drive. Sorry, I thought it was on.
Oh, okay. Actually, I do have it on ours.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. We can do both.
Al?
Al, yeah.
Okay,
I also work in the
alright.
design section of the trim shop,
okay.
so I'm here to help you discuss.
You can bring up a second chair.
Yeah, chair. Unless you want to stand, you're more than welcome to stand too.
Yeah, let me just brief everybody on what's transpired over the last 2 weeks. Shinshov, Feng, and myself and Bob Notario have been communicating via
I'm still
email.
getting used to it.
One at a time, please. Via email to determine a potential location to excavate the compensatory storage region for the proposed roundabout at school and Route 202 in Granby.
Sure.
And I think we may have found an area in the vicinity of the Partika Resource Conservation Area. And I think I sent some information around, Ed. You looked at it as well. I don't see any language in that particular deed that would suggest we cannot excavate soil from that region.
It's dedicated as conservation area, so we're not putting a permanent structure.
Right.
So I think it's a good
I
solution.
think we'll be okay. And again, we'd probably have the selectmen look at it as well. But
Do we own
Shenshaw,
that whole
if you
corner?
would, yeah, she wants to, you guys want to use the Partika area. So let's take a look at what you've got
Well,
for
the
us.
Partika area that is owned by the town.
Yeah, she put a little PowerPoint together, so let's
Sure.
look at this.
Okay, so since the last time, John and Rob were here, we've gone out and looked at some locations, and we looked at maybe 5 of them, and 3 of them looked like they might be okay. One of them being the Emily Partika location. But we're kind of sort of here informally again, and wanted to get your thoughts on that. It sounds pretty good so far.
Because you're looking at elevation, I think 273 to 275 roughly.
Correct.
And you're looking at several hundred cubic yards.
Yes, most of them being at the upper elevation. but
Okay.
I just wanted to ask what you think about, I think the Concom has jurisdiction over that land, is that correct?
Is
Does
conservation.
it go up to that corner?
Do we know what
Where's
area?
Well, we know, that's why I had shown a map.
Let's see what the area. we
Amanda,
do
if you
have-
go to my flash drive,
Yeah,
please.
we can put it up there.
Yeah, I've got the map. I've got the Mass GIS map on mine. Go to my folder. Tonight's folder.
Tonight's movie?
Yeah. The snapshot image. Open that. There you go. I think this shows what you guys want to look at.
What area do you live in?
To the north is a Partika Conservation Area. That's Forge Pond. And the 2 dots in the middle of the water are it's the island. Those are the 2 islands out there.
So,
Yes, of course.
This has a dam
correct.
and a spillway. This is town-owned a little like a half acre.
Mhm.
This is the alley.
Okay.
The whole thing is this like a 146.5 acre.
Mm-hmm.
So if you switch to our slideshow,
Mm-hmm.
and you go down a couple, we'll show the parcel in its entirety. So some of the questions, one question is,
We can
Yeah.
show them alley.
I think we do. Do you think of this one?
This
Yes,
one
that's
look
it,
good?
yes.
That's all.
Yes.
That's
so
the town.
we've taken some,
Yeah.
since last time, we've taken a couple of survey shots near the road just
shot
to
is,
verify
the
elevation. So elevation
The
wise,
elevation.
it looks pretty good. But I think that land, and this is where I want your input, I think that land may be protected by Article 97 for conservation and recreation. So as I read the article, one of the bullets here states, it mentions something about any change, or you wouldn't do a disposition, meaning if there's any change in the use of the land. So
See, we're not changing the use of the land.
and
We're changing the character of the land, but not the use.
Topography.
The use would be if we were gonna go to a commercial development or an amusement
Right.
park or a golf
Right,
course,
okay.
but we're not changing the use of the land. It's
And that's
still
kind of
passive,
what you're
it's
saying.
passive, yeah, it's passive recreation. Because I remember when we applied to the state for that grant, it was deemed to be used for passive recreation.
Okay.
And that was part of the charter.
That's good news.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
Now, I have this other crazy thought. What happens, if we end up removing the dam, then there's no longer need for that compensatory slurry?
That's what I was wondering.
But that's,
Because I was gonna
You
ask how,
mean they remove this
that's
land?
bar.
That's a
Yeah,
slow
that's
roll.
the dam we're talking
That's a
about
slow
removing.
roll.
Look, I
Right.
took up the
Comment on
picture.
that.
Is this dam you are trying to remove? now?
Yeah.
The reason why is cannot use is because of dam, spillway.
okay, so I think moving
So it
forward.
would be good if it was done.
Right.
Moving forward here, if you agree that we aren't changing the use of the land, I don't see anything else in Article 97, but you might be the experts on that.
Well, Ed's a registered land surveyor.
Okay.
He's a land law expert, so
Yeah.
testifies in
Land court.
land court every week, so.
In the
So-
past, I was involved in another project like this. I think we get a letter or something from the Conservation Commission stating that it's permissible to do something like this and it's not a violation of Article 97. So we have it on record and we can go forward with some more detail.
I think it probably could be used. I think we're gonna have to, if there's trees that are cut down and the topography is reshaped, we probably wanna restore some of the trees back into it and, you know, stuff like that. I'm guessing, is that what the
Yeah,
commission
I'm
would
trying
look
to figure
for?
out what land you're gonna try to pull.
Well, he had it highlighted, I think. Why don't we go to,
Only thing,
We are talking about this land, the Emily, the conservation.
do you know exactly?
Oh,
Think,
okay.
can you put your finger where you want to cut the
We
material?
we try to put all things along the roadway, you
Okay,
know, like,
okay.
not go into.
yeah,
Okay,
too
So
far.
along the roadway to find the area which meet our elevation requirement.
Okay.
And then I checked.
Is it past the boat ramp?
Why
Yes.
don't you show, you wanna go to the slide with the elevations?
yeah, I'd like to know what the nominal water elevation is in the pond.
So we've got some pretty good.
Because the bottom line is, we don't want to excavate below the water line, because then we get into a dredging situation. We don't want to go there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't want to
you
go there.
can see here the shot. Can you see? This here is the pond.
Oh,
Okay, here is 270. We will not touch this area.
Very good.
And then go up a little bit. It's 272. We will not touch it. Then the 275. We only need from 275, 274, 273, 272, something like
So let's go
that.
to 272.
We will do our job based on the requirement like that, which is, this one,
Very good.
yeah, level by level.
Yeah, yeah.
So the whole thing will play, it's
Yeah,
not a pond.
it's foot per foot this weekend.
Yeah, foot to foot.
Yeah. Good, very
So
good.
to give you an idea, volume wise, from 274 to 275, and this is based on our widening the left turn lane, not the roundabout. The roundabout design might increase a bit, but to give you an idea, most of the volume is between 274 and 275. It's 142 cubic yards. And 273 to 274 is 63. So between 275 and 273, that accounts for about 95% of the volume.
Well, it's only 200 yards. It's not bad then.
That's not bad at all.
Good, good.
That's not the roundabout, though.
But the roundabout, we haven't really put in a lot of detail design just yet. We wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it, just to make sure we could do this.
Now, just logistically, do you have a haul road, is there an existing haul road there to take the material out when you excavate it?
Well, my thoughts are we try to do, it looks like most of those 275 elevations are close to the road.
Okay, good.
It would be easier to do the excavation with the machine. Well, it's a large area.
Yeah.
274 to 275 is large. If you multiply 142 times 27, that would give you the footprint of the area.
Yeah, and how many square feet?
Yeah, here.
Calculate.
Okay.
sorry. Here you can see the control line, 275.
So you'd probably use a bulldozer then and push it to a front end loader, I would think, rather than an excavator.
Right, I think, I think a bulldozer.
And where's the boat ramp in relationship to that?
The what?
The boat ramp.
Is the boat ramp, you know where the boat ramp is?
On School Street, there's a little tiny
The
boat
boat
ramp.
ramp is, I know a little
Little tiny
road,
thing,
right?
yeah, small
Where
boat
you
ramp,
can drive
yes.
in and park.
All right.
I think
Is
it's
that by the
here.
dam?
It's north of the.
It's
dam.
north of the dam.
Not by-
It's
Here,
probably
I took
200
the
feet
exact
north
this
of the dam.
270 was taken, this point was taken on that road,
Yeah, so
near the pond.
just come in off the road and off the
Yeah,
side road,
here
and
is the
just
road.
take what you need and.
So that's where the boat ramp is?
Yeah, that is the
Yeah,
boat
they're,
ramp.
they're making
270.
better
Okay.
for the boat ramp.
I think we need to make some sort of connection to the lowest elevation.
Right, so.
Absolutely, of course, of course.
And then the only other, so there's no, there would be some tree clearing, like, you know, we would restore whatever, you know, what you want to restore in terms of trees. I think it was all things would grow back naturally anyway, right?
Give them a jump start though,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah, the tree, I just took several pictures. The tree.
I'm guessing they're native trees or are they invasives, you don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just took, I didn't.
Well, you aren't gonna be able to plant them in the floodplain,
Huh?
the
No.
trees.
Trees are in the floodplain to begin with.
Yeah, those aren't. Those, they're above it. Those that look like oaks and stuff.
They're not gonna get that big in there. And once that fills that in, they're not gonna get huge.
They're not gonna get big, there's so much crowding.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys came up with a solution.
That's
excellent.
nice
Good
one.
work, very
Yeah.
good.
That's nice.
Very, very good work. Again, I think it's a terrific project for the town's roundabouts. I love the one up at Atkins,
Oh,
the double
yeah.
roundabout.
We do hear something.
Well, the negative, of course, is nobody maintains the inner circle
Or
with the
plowing it.
vegetation. It gets kind of weedy and it looks not so great after a while.
It didn't look very good from day one,
Yeah.
the mix was a little funny.
Yeah.
So going forward, do you want to kind of, you're
Yeah.
fine with the area, maybe right up?
We probably need to meet with the selectmen about this.
We have to craft some sort of letter. It won't be an approval letter, it will be essentially a non-issue letter.
Non-take. or
Yeah, a
something.
non-take or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
what the activity doesn't consider is not
Right.
a take against the conservation
Right.
aspect.
Right.
So it's still open space, it's still recreational.
Yeah,
It's
there's
not
no,
being blocked.
there's no direct conflict with the proposed.
The only thing I can think
activity.
of is if we end up ever putting a trail there.
Mm-mm.
No?
Trail.
Trail, why? Most people go through all on their
Through
own.
all- Yeah, they go-
Yeah,
they
the
walk.
trail, I'm not sure whether it's a trail. I took some picture because I walk in there.
Yeah.
I just then take picture, but
That's
I
natural.
think 2/3 of the volume, and you're gonna see just a drop of 1 foot. You know, a lot of it might not even be.
You won't even notice it. You won't
Okay.
even
And
notice
then 30% of it is just another 1 foot drop below that top level.
it. Mhm.
So it might look,
But you're gonna come up with your numbers for the roundabout. That, is the end result gonna be the roundabout, or are you guys, is it a monetary thing with the
we're-
state?
we're looking into the money part of it now. People in Boston are looking into that. We like roundabouts, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they're more expensive up
Well, it's a
front.
high accident, that area has a lot of accidents in that.
I think my boss is receptive to, you know, not starting the design, but he's asked the folks in Boston if there's enough money to
To do it.
do that.
Rich Massey?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I went to school with Rich a
That's what
long
he
time
said.
ago, yeah. He's a good man, very good man.
So we are thinking about that, but we're happy to hear that this area is a good candidate and
Yeah.
it'll allow us to go forward with the design. And we may, after hearing this, we may seriously, well, hoping that, you know, when we figure out what's going on with the money, we could start with the roundabout.
Okay. You know, again, one landscaping question, following up on Atkins. It'd be great if you could work with us as to plantings inside of the roundabout, just to, because, again, the roundabouts I see.
They're gonna not do plantings.
You're not gonna do plantings at all? You're just gonna pave it or put in?
There'll probably be some kind of,
We
Stone.
talked about that last time, didn't
Yeah.
we? She brought up that she wasn't gonna have the plantings because they just get,
Yeah,
Yeah,
nobody
they're gross,
maintains
no
the
one
plantings,
maintains
that's the
them.
problem. Nobody maintains them.
You suggest I don't plant,
Yeah.
I always change it to.
Well, the one at Look Park, that little tiny one. What
So
are they,
maybe we're better
granite
off with
blocks
just
or
turning
something in
lanes
there?
and not a roundabout then.
I don't know, I don't go that way that often, so I don't know what's in there.
It-
I don't think the jurisdiction anyways.
Yeah.
That's outside.
No, but I'm just trying to,
so initial.
So your next step is you go to the select board, you offer.
Just make,
Yeah.
bring that to their attention that we are planning on granting permission to
Okay.
let Mass
What's the
Highway
least impact into the riverfront
Take-
area?
compensatory storage from a conservation
one
area.
thing at a time.
Okay.
Is that,
I want to find out what is the least impact to the riverfront, the turning lanes and the light versus the roundabout, because that is all riverfront there.
You mean,
Where the actual intersection is.
Okay, with
No,
School
you are
Street, so this one, the impacts are.
are you talking this FEMA flood plain, or this intersection is in the flood area?
Yes,
Did you guys do an overlay of the proposed roundabout on any map?
We haven't done
We haven't done that yet.
anything.
That'll be the next thing.
That'll be next.
And that'll answer Wendy's question.
yeah.
We have the volume of the compensatory storage volume that we need based on the widening for the turn lane and the signal light intersection, which is about 212 cubic yards.
Okay.
The roundabout, we haven't developed it far enough to get that volume.
Because there's a shrub swamp there and different things in
When I
there.
was thinking we could wrap this into the dam removal thing as part of the DER, because then they could put replication, like restore areas, as like, kind of like give and take sort of thing.
Yeah. that-
So you know how you can restore a wetland in a different place on the other side of town if you don't have wetland near you?
Right.
So what do you say?
There's this thing.
It's what they call off-site restoration. It's
Yeah,
called off-site.
so the Department of Ecological Restoration, they have a thing for aquatic restoration and resilience and stuff like that. And I'm looking into applying for like their program to get assistance to remove the dam. And they do a lot of work pulling together different organizations and finding funding and sponsors and stuff like this. So I was thinking that I'm gonna try and talk to them tomorrow, but they might be able to find a way to kind of bring these two projects together because it's the Forge Pond, this pond that you guys are working near, it's that dam we're thinking of taking out.
But
So,
that could be, that could be used like if they had.
Yeah.
Right, but maybe
yes,
that
but
money
if we
could
get
get
it all
earmarked.
going,
It would
like
be
lots of times
nice.
it could be like a funding thing, like putting money into a fund to do that project or something like that as part of your,
Yeah.
Maybe both things can happen simultaneously.
that would be
If you have
great,
Assurances
but,
from
yeah.
Conservation Commission.
It'd be great if that
I
would
just don't know
happen.
what's your timeline like
Yeah.
if this
Well, we will move
project is-
ahead, after tonight, we'll move ahead with the design,
Yeah,
Mhm.
assuming we're going to construct our compensatory storage in the Emily Partika property.
yeah.
And if your project moves ahead and there's an opportunity.
They're starting the application process on May 24th. So I can like communicate with them to see, get
Yeah.
input from them on if they think it's feasible and we're a good candidate and kind of get things rolling. And then after the 23rd, we apply and they kind of take the time to decide for a couple months.
I have a general geometric question, a real rough question. What would you estimate the outer diameter of the pavement be on the roundabout? 120 feet, is that a reasonable number?
You know, I've never designed a roundabout, I've reviewed a couple of them, but it's been a while. My numbers, I'm not really following any numbers. Maybe, you know, just if you ask my opinion, I think it would be well, we'd have to look at the vehicles that are.
You gotta look at the WB62 probably, yeah, you wouldn't use a 67.
Usually they track on the inside of it,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it would be any bigger than the ones at Athens.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be comparable to the one at Oak Park. That was one of the first ones in the district.
We get major traffic.
Yeah, the only thing on too is I think our traffic count might be higher than 116 at Athens.
I would guess.
You don't know though, it's
Yeah.
unclear to me.
Well, the traffic at Amherst was 12,000.
Is it?
Yeah, that was kind of higher than, because I know you guys want to get home, but I designed a section
Yeah.
south of the roundabout.
Yeah.
So that's why I know that number, but, okay, so that's good, so you'll
Yep.
get in touch with you, we'll be hearing from you
So we'll
sometime.
get a letter for next meeting.
Yeah, come on, and if you have any preliminary design stuff next time, that'd be great.
So will you do a traffic count to decide what size road you need there? Based on
We may
size of
have,
vehicles?
we may already have numbers because it's a state road, we probably have a current count, pretty up to date count.
Yeah.
So we should have all the data. If we didn't, then we'd collect it. It would, we've got good experience in-house now with roundabout design, so. That's the way
They're
we're
fun. Again, it saves a lot of fuel,
We
saves lives.
collect data, otherwise we will not propose the signalization, because even put it on signalization, you need the data support to meet a certain word. So every design, we must have the founder support.
Okay.
So even if this was like, to just like move forward right along, how soon would it be like groundbreaking? Like just to get an idea of timeline, based on timeline for dam.
Well, we're in 25% now, we're working on 25.
2022, I think.
2022.
Yeah, 2022 is our advertising.
4 years.
Yeah,
Advertised
it's
for
in for
bid in
2021.
Okay,
Equal to
because
2022.
that is a realistic timeline
5
for like
years
a
out.
dam,
5
you know,
years out.
because obviously we couldn't just pull out a dam this year and, but like getting the planning, so just having an idea of your
So, like, the
timeline
design,
versus
the date
our.
that she says is, it can move if we finish the design sooner.
Yeah.
You know, they have ways of.
Yeah, but it won't be like the end of this year, probably not,
If we take-
okay.
If we take
That's-
the dam out, and you guys are going to construction, we might say, the dam is now out, the flood elevation has now reduced, you don't have to do the comp storage.
Yeah.
So that might happen at the last instant.
Yeah, that's fine, we can still.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Aren't the people in Granby upset about the date when they walk, when people use
You know,
that
it's funny, I went to the select board meeting last night, and Amanda
It
and
could
I
be.
did, and there was no adverse comments about it whatsoever.
Well, yeah, we have to open this up to the,
That's
what do the selectmen want to do? If we should take it to town meeting?
We're gonna have to get some input from the
Right.
townspeople at large anyway, but I think the bottom line is, the town is essentially run by finances now, as are most small towns.
Yeah.
And if we wanna save our pennies, we decommission the dam, that's the bottom line.
What's the water going to be out expected once the dam is?
I don't know, we'd have to do the hydro study on that, but that's,
And will the flood, 100-year flood be redesigned at that point? Are we responsible to determine that?
that's a good question, I don't know.
Because
I don't
FEMA
know.
still has it at a certain elevation,
Right.
as far as they know.
You'd have to go for an amendment, you'd have to go for
Yeah,
an
map
amendment.
amendment.
And how long does that take then? 6 months?
Trying to figure out, is it better to pull it out? or
It's
is it better
actually a
to
letter
fix
of
it?
map revision, I think, not amendment.
Because they'd have to do some
Because you're
hydro,
revising
you'd have to do
floodplain.
some floodplain modeling, you'd have to do some modeling to determine the new flood elevation.
It would probably be out of that intersection. That intersection just barely is in the floodplain.
Yeah,
So probably we'll drop it.
yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for having us.
Very good. Hey, thank you.
Thank you for bringing us your project.
Oh, yes, yes.
Boy, that other one seemed like a courtroom in here.
Oh, yeah, well, it's not gonna get much better for the next foreseeable future.
You look for a job, you know?
I have enough work, thank you.
Yeah, it's one of our thankless tasks, acting as arbitrators and mediators.
All right, so thanks
for
for coming
coming
in.
in.
We'll get a
Very
letter
good.
drafted
Thanks
to
for
the
being-
selectmen and.
you
and
guys are
when
really efficient.
You get close to that final number that you need, obviously you'll present it to us and then we'll represent it to the selectmen
Yeah.
that's going
Right,
on.
so, right, okay, right, so if we get the permission to go ahead with the roundabout design, we can get something over the trench out by your regular contact.
Now, are you gonna try to do that the same time as possibly dealing with Five Corners? What's going on
Yeah,
with
that's
Five
the
Corners?
same
It's all the
project.
same, yeah.
Even though it's separated, it's just two intersections.
Okay, because we got wetlands down there too.
Well, yeah,
See,
they were here
that's why I'm
before.
trying to connect it
Oh,
all
I want to
together.
bring your attention, this Thursday we will have another public hearing, is, happening in Granby, talk about the Route 202. Yeah, if you guys have interest, maybe you can check it out.
When is that?
I think it's May 10th.
May 10th.
Yeah, on your website. It's
You al-
Where?
You've already had one hearing on that, didn't you, a few months ago?
Oh, it's not my project. I just know that
Yeah,
you
okay.
care about Granby. That's
When is it?
May 10th.
Where? Have anybody an idea?
Must be your town hall or something. Yeah, town
Calendar.
Town
parking.
council.
May 10th?
Come on, come back.
That's this
Must
Thursday.
be-
Highway transportation?
Yeah,
7
p.m.
o'clock?
Oh, wow. Is it?
yeah.
Senior Center.
And maybe you click that,
Granby Senior Center,
yeah,
7,
it's the same where
for the selectmen.
yeah.
Okay.
Great, very good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks again. Good to meet you. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back on to our outreach education plan of the week.
I think skunk cabbage is out in full bloom. I think
Ooh,
that's
it's
clearly
beautiful.
candidate.
You can smell it everywhere.
Shad bush is blooming, I think. Autumn olive.
Ferns look beautiful.
Yeah, fiddleheads are out.
They are out.
Yeah.
Anybody have, going back up to item 4, bills to pay?
Oh, I forgot to bring my bill in. I'll bring
Okay.
it next time.
No other bills? Financial accounts updates, I have a, financial transaction or payroll dated March 28th, 2018. Never seen this before, I don't know why they're sending us this. Payroll,
Payroll.
if you guys can make heads or tails out of that, please.
Maybe it was misfiled.
It could be.
Like, we don't have any pay, like, am I missing a check?
Yeah.
You know what this is? Casey's. This is Casey's.
Casey's,
Yep.
like a W-2.
Look at the amounts. It looks like Casey's.
Small
amounts.
amounts,
Yeah,
very
that's
small
Casey's
amounts.
right there. Yep. So what was your total for the year? 1185?
1185 for the year.
So they'll 1099 or W2,
That's right.
whatever they do.
ZBAs and planning board. Which is right here. Public hearing notice, from the zoning board of appeals, Tuesday, May 15th, 6:40, Old Carnegie Library. Special permit, this is a, considered amendment request to a special permit given to Charles Mayhew of 326 Bachelor Street, Granby for 24 by 28 addition to an existing garage at property located at 326 Bachelor Street. I believe he came, did he come here for a building
Yeah,
permit?
yeah.
a
Yes,
while
he
ago?
did.
Yes.
So you guys are all set, I wasn't at that meeting. Got a letter here that's not dated, Town of Granby Conservation for Mr. Frank
Oh, Bogdanovich.
Bogdanovich?
284R East State Street, request, basically, it says, this is a reminder that Wendell Luff of the Granby Conservation Commission spoke to you at Cumberland Farms and asked you to come to the next Conservation Commission meeting on Tuesday, April 24, 2018. Meeting starts at 7 p.m. and is held in the old library on 1 Library Lane off 202. We look forward to seeing you at our meeting.
So I guess he.
There's no date on the letter, so I'm assuming that it was last month.
No, he was supposed to show up. When was he supposed to show
April
up?
24th is the meeting, but he never showed up.
No.
So this was in April, it was notified.
All right,
So
so
we'll
we
talk
gotta
to
follow.
Kathy. Bill, talk to Kathy.
All right.
Wendell, you can talk to Kathy if you want to
Alright.
follow up on that.
Yeah, we gotta deal with that.
All right, you can
Front
follow up
pull
on that
through.
at that point then. Town of Granby, Planning Board, dated May 1st, 2018. The Planning Board has received a site plan for the above named project in the town, which is 306 Amherst Street, construction of a barn 40 by 80 feet. It is requested that any comments that you have be sent to the Planning Board by May 11th, 2018, or sent to Kathy Leonard of the Board of Selectmen's office.
Can we bring that address up?
306 Amherst Street. That's that. If you want to look at that, 306 Amherst. On Mass GIS. While you're looking at that, Connecticut River Conservancy, letter dated April 2018, spring, looks like a contribution or donation, looking for something with the rivers.
That 306 Amherst Street, that looks like Ed Parker's old house, former selectman, now deceased. That was Eddie's house that he built, I think.
It could be.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any wetlands on it.
It's at the corner, heading up to 160.
Yeah,
Take the
alright.
corner.
Near Bachelor and
Yeah,
Amherst.
yeah.
So in between, all right, so we don't have to send them any comments.
Nope, put that back, you're in a report. These are all previously read, Eversource, forest cutting plan for,
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're gonna ever do a NOI for that culvert that they were gonna put in on the way to, what's that, School Street that goes by the seminary? They're gonna put a culvert in there.
Oh, that's the DCR folks.
No, Eversource, where they were gonna put those poles and have the crossings.
Oh,
They're
the
gonna
one
put
that, there was a little issue in the field with, the
Yes.
project.
Yes,
I think we gave them their blessing and they're just getting it done.
speaking of the Forge Pond, I have what appears to be a phase 1 report from Lenart Consulting Services, 408 Memorial Drive, Chicopee, Mass, dated April 23rd, 2018. This
Did we
is,
get an electronic copy of that?
I do,
thought
I
he
have
sent
a
us-
CD, Dave mailed me a CD of the house, I'm gonna look at it, I'll bring it here. You guys can all load it up. on the machine.
Speaking of bills, I have a bill here for $430 from Lenart for the phase 1 report.
does that come out of conservation or the town
How did we
budget?
pay for that last time? I think it was
I
conservation.
think they took it out of our account,
They did.
very poor. For the record, very poor.
Well, the phase 1 study is definitely not gonna come out of the conservation funds. We don't have enough to pay for that, I'm guessing. So, so, do you wanna make a motion either to forward this to Kathy Leonard for
The
payment?
selectmen?
Or to have
Yeah.
the selectmen, forward to the selectmen's office for payment?
I'd forward it to the selectman's office,
Is that a motion?
yes.
That's a second from me.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We'll forward this, I don't want, forward this to the
Selectmen's for payment.
selectmen for payment. If for some reason there's an issue, I guess have Kathy contact us immediately, I guess. And, it's a reasonable bill for keeping us in compliance with DCR.
So she'll probably have to put a sticky note on that, right?
Yes, that's a good point, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one final note.
Sure.
Would you all entertain in moving our time to 6:30 PM on Tuesdays?
I don't have a problem with it at this point. We posted the next meeting for 7 though, last.
Well, we can do the subsequent one. Patty, what's your comments?
As long as we have our business first from like 6:30 to 7, that allows me a little wiggle room, just during the busy season so I can get here.
Okay. Amanda,
Yeah, I can do that.
is that good? Wenda?
If I can remember, yes.
All right, okay, let's try it again. We can get home a little earlier at night, get a little more sleep would be great.
Okay, so starting which week?
You wanna start next?
Because we posted.
We already
the meeting for
posted the
7th,
meeting.
So would it be the following?
Yes.
Yeah, because that way we can announce it.
That's all
June
on
That'll
that.
be June 12th.
June 12th.
Do you want me to put that with this? Is that the
7.
Philip
Should
Circle?
put that in news
Appears to be.
announcements.
Yes, that would be news and announcements.
Okay.
So there's a deed restriction, everything, and all kinds of stuff on this.
Yeah, also,
Easement.
I have the old site delineation plans and
Is there a well by
projects-
any chance
I'm pretty
on
sure he didn't do these projects and he sold the property because he was mad he couldn't do the stuff he wanted to on the property.
Well, let's,
I've got the electronics.
Alright, hold, can we
And
close, can we work through?
Yeah, I move that we close the meeting tonight, it's 9 PM.
okay.
I second.
all in favor?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.